3 in the morning, and my wife Vivian was explaining why she needed to work late again. From our king-size bed, I watched her pace across our marble bathroom floor, phone pressed to her ear like a lifeline to somewhere I wasn't invited. "No, Adam, he's asleep," she whispered, not bothering to close the door. "We can discuss the Morrison case tomorrow." Morrison case. Right. Because high-powered attorneys at Courage and Associates always discuss tort reform in their underwear at 3 a.m. I'm Lucas Harlan, and I used to be a cop. 15 years on the Boston PD taught me how to read people, how to spot lies, and how to know when someone's playing you for a fool. My wife thought I was just another suburban husband, too comfortable and too trusting to notice the obvious. She was about to learn otherwise. The injury that ended my police career left me with a slight limp and a new profession in private security consulting. What it didn't leave me with was stupidity. When your wife of 8 years starts taking mysterious phone calls, coming home with different perfume, and suddenly needs to work late 3 nights a week, you don't need a detective's badge to connect the dots. Vivian ended her call and slipped back into bed, her silk nightgown cold against my skin. In the darkness, I could smell wine on her breath. Expensive wine. The kind they don't serve at law firm strategy meetings. "Everything okay at work?" I asked, my voice casual. "Just the usual corporate drama," she replied, already turning away from me. Adam's been under a lot of pressure lately. Adam Courage, senior partner, her mentor, her boss, and apparently her 3 a.m. confidant. I lay there listening to her breathing slow into sleep, planning my next move. Tomorrow I'd start asking the right questions. Tonight, I'd start paying attention to the answers I'd been ignoring. The next morning, Vivian was gone before I woke up. Her coffee mug sat in the sink, lipstick staining the rim in a shade I'd never seen her wear. Ruby red, bold, the kind of color a woman wears when she wants to make an impression. I called my old partner Erica Martinez, now running her own private investigation firm in Cambridge. "Lucas, it's been months. Please tell me this isn't about Vivian." "It's about Vivian," Erica sighed. "What do you need?" "Background check on Adam Courage. Financial records if you can get them legally. And I need surveillance equipment." "Lucas, are you sure you want to go down this road?" "I'm already on it, Erica. I just need to know where it leads." By noon, I had micro cameras installed in our home office and a GPS tracker on Vivian's BMW. By evening, I had Adam Courage's complete professional history, his divorce records from 2 years ago, and his current address, a penthouse overlooking Boston Harbor. Vivian came home at 7, kissing my cheek with lips that tasted like lies. "How was your day?" she asked, settling into her usual spot on our white leather sofa. "Productive. Yours?" "Long meeting with Adam about the Henderson merger. We might have to work this weekend." I nodded, watching her face. She was good. 15 years of courtroom experience had taught her to lie with conviction. But I was better. "I ran into Mrs. Benning at the grocery store," I said casually. "She mentioned seeing a nice Jaguar in our driveway last week. Silver. Said it was there pretty late." Vivian's hand froze halfway to her wine glass. "Oh, that." Adam had to drop off some documents. His usual car was in the shop. At midnight. Time-sensitive materials for the Morrison case. Always the Morrison case. I was starting to hate Morrison, whoever he was. That night, while Vivian showered, I checked her phone. She'd changed her passcode. In 8 years of marriage, she'd never changed her passcode. I was setting up my laptop in the garage when the motion detector chimed. Through the window, I watched a silver Jaguar pull into our driveway. Adam Courage stepped out, checking his watch, straightening his tie. He looked nervous. My phone buzzed. Text from Vivian. "Working late again. Don't wait up." I watched Adam walk to our front door with the confidence of a man who'd done this before. He had a key. The son of a bitch had a key to my house. I slipped out the back door and circled around to the living room window. Through the gap in the curtains, I could see them on my sofa. Vivian was pouring wine. 2 glasses, the expensive bottle we'd been saving for our anniversary. They weren't discussing legal briefs. Adam pulled Vivian close, his hands tangling in her hair. She laughed, throwing her head back in a way she hadn't laughed with me in months. They moved toward the stairs, toward our bedroom, and I'd seen enough. I went back to the garage and opened my laptop. The cameras I'd installed were working perfectly. Every angle, crystal clear, digitally time-stamped. In 15 minutes, I had enough evidence to end their careers and my marriage. But ending it wasn't enough. Not anymore. They'd humiliated me in my own home, on my own sofa, in my own bed. They'd made me a fool. a cuckold, a joke. Vivian thought she was smarter than me, more sophisticated, more deserving of the good life. Adam thought he could take whatever he wanted because he had money and power and a corner office. They were both about to learn that underestimating Lucas Harlan was a career-ending mistake. I spent the next hour reviewing everything Erica had sent me about Adam Courage. Divorced, no kids, inherited wealth, Harvard Law, senior partner for 8 years, clean record, respected in the legal community, member of the country club, drives expensive cars, owns expensive art, and according to his financial records, he'd been moving money, large amounts, from client accounts to offshore holdings. Adam Courage wasn't just sleeping with my wife. He was stealing from his own firm. The bedroom light went out upstairs. I heard the shower running. Vivian always showered after sex, washing away the evidence, preparing to lie to my face again. 20 minutes later, Adam's Jaguar backed out of my driveway. Vivian came down in her robe, hair wet, skin flushed. "You're up late," she said, finding me in the kitchen. "Couldn't sleep. How was work?" "Exhausting. Adam's really pushing everyone hard on this merger." I nodded sympathetically. "You should get some rest." She kissed my forehead, and I smelled his cologne on her skin. "Good night, Lucas." "Good night, Vivian." I waited until she was asleep, then returned to my laptop. I had video evidence of adultery, financial records suggesting embezzlement, and a plan forming in my mind. A plan that would destroy both of them, publicly and completely. But first, I needed more information. And I needed to be very, very careful. The next morning, Vivian left early for a breakfast meeting. I followed her BMW through downtown Boston traffic, staying 3 cars back, using every surveillance technique I'd learned on the force. She didn't go to her office. She went to the Harbor Hotel. Adam Courage was waiting in the lobby, and they embraced like lovers, not colleagues. They took the elevator to the restaurant, requested a corner table, sat close together, held hands across the white tablecloth. I took photos from across the street, telephoto lens capturing every intimate gesture. When they kissed goodbye 40 minutes later, I got that too. Erica called while I was driving home. "I've got more on Courage," she said. "And Lucas, this is bigger than adultery." How big?" "Meet me at Murphy's Pub at noon. Bring a strong stomach." Murphy's was a cop bar in Southie, dark and quiet, the kind of place where conversations stayed private. Erica was waiting in a corner booth, manila folder thick with documents. "Adam Courage is running a sophisticated embezzlement scheme," she said without preamble. "Client funds, trust accounts, settlement money. He's been skimming for at least 2 years. How much?" "Conservative estimate, $3 million. I whistled low. "And Vivian, her signature is on half the transfers. She's either complicit or he's forging her authorization." "She's complicit." Erica nodded. "There's more. The Henderson merger Vivian keeps mentioning. It's not a merger, it's a hostile takeover. Courage is planning to force out the other senior partners and restructure the firm with himself as managing partner. Using stolen money? Using stolen money. And your wife is helping him do it." "Wuan." I studied the financial records, recognizing Vivian's handwriting on several authorization forms. She wasn't just cheating on me. She was participating in a felony that would send them both to prison. "What's your plan?" Erica asked. "Destroy them both, publicly, completely." "Lucas, be careful. Courage has connections. If he suspects you're onto him, let me worry about Courage." Wuan. That afternoon I drove to Courage and Associates. The law firm occupied 3 floors of a glass tower in the financial district, all marble and mahogany and expensive art. I told the receptionist I was there to discuss security consulting services. "Mr. Courage is in meetings all day," she said apologetically. "I'll wait." I spent 2 hours in the lobby, watching, listening, learning the rhythm of the office. Vivian walked past twice without seeing me, deep in conversation with a tall brunette woman who radiated the kind of predatory ambition that made my skin crawl. At 4 o'clock, Adam Courage emerged from the elevator, saw me, and froze. "Mr. Harlan, what brings you here?" "Business," I said, standing slowly, letting my limp show. Let him think I was weak. "I understand you might need security consulting." "I don't think so. We have an excellent relationship with our current firm." "Things change," I said, meeting his eyes. "Sometimes you need fresh perspective. Someone who sees things others miss." Adam's jaw tightened. "I'm afraid I don't have time today." "No problem. I'll call Vivian. We can discuss it at home." The color drained from his face. "Perhaps we could have coffee sometime. Discuss your services." "I'd like that very much." I gave him my card and walked away, feeling his eyes on my back. The first seed of doubt was planted. Now I needed to water it with fear. That evening, Vivian came home agitated. Adam mentioned you stopped by the office today, drumming up business. Why? It's just awkward. Mixing personal and professional relationships. We're married, Vivian. How much more personal can it get? She looked away. You know what I mean. I knew exactly what she meant. She was afraid I'd discover her secrets. She was right to be afraid. Over the next 3 days, I escalated the psychological pressure. I sent Adam flowers at his office with a card reading, "Thanks for taking such good care of my wife." I had pizza delivered to his penthouse at midnight with a note saying, "Thought you might be working late again." I followed them to their lunch meetings, their dinner dates, their weekend rendezvous at expensive hotels. I documented everything, building a case that would destroy their reputations and their freedom. But documentation wasn't enough. I wanted them to suffer the way they'd made me suffer. I wanted them humiliated, exposed, ruined in front of everyone who mattered to them. I wanted revenge. Friday afternoon, I called Adam's office. "Mr. Courage, this is Lucas Harlan, about that coffee meeting. I'm very busy this week. I'm sure you are. Vivian tells me you've been working very hard lately. Very late hours." Silence on the line. "How about tomorrow? There's a nice place on Newbury Street. Cafe Milano. Noon." I insist. We have so much to discuss. Saturday at noon, I was waiting at a sidewalk table when Adam arrived. He looked haggard, nervous, checking over his shoulder, like a man expecting trouble. "Thank you for meeting me," I said as he sat down. "What do you want, Harlan?" "Just to chat, man to man, about business, about trust, about the importance of keeping your word." Adam ordered coffee with shaking hands. "I don't know what you think you know. I know you've been stealing from your clients. I know you've been forging documents. I know you've been using my wife to cover your tracks." His coffee cup rattled against the saucer. "That's a serious accusation. It's a serious crime. $3 million, Adam. That's federal prison time. You can't prove anything." I pulled out my phone and showed him a photo of Vivian signing authorization forms in his office. "I can prove everything." Adam stood abruptly, knocking over his chair. "This is extortion." "No, this is a conversation. Sit down." He sat, sweat beading on his forehead despite the cool October air. "Here's what's going to happen," I continued. "You're going to end your relationship with my wife. You're going to return every penny you've stolen. And you're going to resign from the firm. And if I don't, then I go to the FBI, the State Bar Association, and the Boston Globe. In that order. Your choice." Adam leaned forward, his voice dropping to a whisper. "You don't understand what you're dealing with. I have resources, connections. I can make your life very difficult." I smiled. "Adam, I spent 15 years dealing with murderers, drug dealers, and gangbangers. You're a soft, privileged lawyer who's never thrown a punch in his life. You don't scare me. We'll see about that." He left without another word, walking quickly down Newbury Street like a man running from his own shadow. That night, Vivian didn't come home at all. Sunday morning, I woke up alone in our king-sized bed, sunlight streaming through windows that overlooked a neighborhood where I no longer belonged. Vivian's side was cold, untouched, her absence as obvious as a slap in the face. My phone had 3 missed calls from Erica and a text message. "We need to talk, now." I found her at the office, surrounded by computer screens and surveillance equipment, looking like she hadn't slept in days. "They're planning to run," she said without preamble. "Carriage liquidated 2 offshore accounts yesterday. Your wife withdrew $50,000 from your joint savings." "How much did he move?" $2.7 million. Enough to disappear forever. I sat down heavily, feeling the weight of betrayal settle in my chest like a physical thing. "Where?" "Private jet to the Cayman Islands. Then who knows? They've got new identities, clean passports, the works. This isn't amateur hour, Lucas. Carriage has been planning this for months." "When?" "Tonight. Midnight flight out of Hanscom Field." I checked my watch. 12 hours to stop them. 12 hours to spring the trap I'd been building all week. "What do you need from me?" Erica asked. "Everything we've got. Photos, financial records, video surveillance. And I need you to make some calls." "To who?" "The FBI, the State Attorney General, Channel 5 News. Everyone who needs to know that Adam Courage and my wife are thieves, liars, and fugitives." Erica nodded grimly. Consider it done. I spent the afternoon making my own calls to the senior partners at Courage and Associates, who were very interested to learn about their colleagues' creative accounting, to Adam's ex-wife, who was delighted to hear that her cheating husband was about to get his comeuppance, to Mrs. Benning, our neighborhood gossip, who promised to spread the word to every country club and social circle in Boston. By 5 o'clock, the trap was set. Now I just needed to make sure my targets walked into it. I drove to Adam's penthouse, parking across the street with a clear view of the building entrance. At 6:30, a black SUV pulled up. Two men got out, both wearing expensive suits and the kind of dead-eyed expression that suggested military backgrounds. Security. Courage was taking precautions. At 7, Vivian's BMW arrived. She looked around nervously before entering the building, clutching a large suitcase. My suitcase, I realized. The expensive leather set we'd bought for our honeymoon in Italy. At 8, Adam emerged with his own luggage and a briefcase that probably contained enough cash to fund a small revolution. The security team flanked him as he loaded everything into the SUV. They were leaving early. I called Erica. They're moving now, probably heading straight to the airport. FBI is 20 minutes out. That's too long. They'll be gone. I started my engine and pulled into traffic, following the SUV through downtown Boston toward Route 2 and Hanscom Field. My phone rang. Lucas, don't do anything stupid, Erica warned. Define stupid. Confronting two felons and their armed security team by yourself. I'm not going to confront them. I'm going to stop them. The SUV was doing exactly the speed limit, trying not to attract attention. Professional. But I knew these roads better than any out-of-state security contractor, and I had advantages they didn't know about. I took the exit for Route 128, racing ahead of them, then doubled back on surface streets to reach Hanscom Field first. The private aviation terminal was a small building surrounded by hangars and expensive aircraft, lit by floodlights that turned the tarmac into a stage. Perfect. I parked near the terminal entrance and called Channel 5 News. This is Lucas Harlan. I have a story for you. Adam Courage, senior partner at one of Boston's most prestigious law firms, is about to flee the country with $3 million in stolen client funds. He'll be at Hanscom Field Private Terminal in 10 minutes. Sir, we can't just... He's traveling with my wife, Vivian Harlan, who helped him embezzle the money. They have fake passports, offshore accounts, and enough evidence to put them both away for 20 years. Do you want the exclusive, or should I call Channel 7? 5 minutes later, a news van pulled into the parking lot. The SUV arrived right on schedule, pulling up to a sleek Gulfstream jet that was already warming its engines. Adam and Vivian got out, moving quickly toward the aircraft while their security team unloaded luggage. I stepped out of my car and walked toward them, limping slightly, hands visible and empty. Going somewhere? I called out. Vivian spun around, her face pale in the floodlights. Lucas, what are you doing here? Saying goodbye to my wife, and to her boyfriend, and to $3 million in stolen money. Adam gestured to his security team, who moved to intercept me. But I wasn't alone anymore. FBI agents emerged from the shadows, weapons drawn, badges visible. Federal agents! Nobody move! The security team froze, hands slowly moving away from their weapons. Adam dropped his briefcase, cash spilling across the tarmac like confetti. Vivian started crying, mascara running down her cheeks in black rivers. Lucas, please, she begged. You don't understand. We love each other. I understand perfectly, I replied. You're a thief and a liar, and you're going to prison. The news cameras were rolling now, capturing everything in high definition. Adam Courage, respected attorney, being handcuffed on a tarmac. Vivian Harlan, my wife of 8 years, sobbing as FBI agents read her rights. You bastard, Adam snarled as they led him past me. You have no idea what you've done. I've done exactly what I intended to do, I said calmly. I've destroyed you. As the FBI cars pulled away with my wife and her lover in custody, I stood alone on the tarmac, watching their dreams of escape disappear into the night. The news reporter approached, microphone in hand. Mr. Harlan, how does it feel to know that your wife was planning to leave the country with stolen money? I looked directly into the camera, knowing that everyone we knew would be watching the 11 o'clock news. It feels like justice. The story broke on every major news outlet within hours. Prominent Boston attorneys arrested in embezzlement scheme. Husband exposes wife's multi-million-dollar theft. Private jet escape foiled at Hanscom Field. By Monday morning, I was famous. Not the kind of famous anyone wants to be, but famous nonetheless. My phone rang constantly, with reporters, lawyers, and curious neighbors who suddenly wanted to know how I was holding up. I wasn't holding up. I wasn't holding up. I was thriving. Vivian and Adam were being held without bail, charged with embezzlement, money laundering, conspiracy, and attempted flight from prosecution. The evidence was overwhelming, the case airtight, their futures measured in decades behind bars, but I wasn't finished with them yet. Tuesday afternoon, I received an unexpected visitor. Mira Castellanos, Vivian's best friend and a high-powered public relations executive who specialized in crisis management for wealthy clients. She stood on my doorstep in a $1,000 suit, holding a briefcase and wearing the kind of smile that could cut glass. "Lucas, we need to talk." "I don't think we do. This is about Vivian's future and yours." Against my better judgment, I let her in. She sat on the same sofa where I'd watched my wife betray me, crossing her legs and opening her briefcase with practiced efficiency. "My client wants to make a deal," she said. "Your client is in federal custody. Vivian is willing to testify against Adam in exchange for reduced charges. She could be out in 5 years instead of 20. And what does that have to do with me?" Mira smiled coldly. "She needs character witnesses. People who can testify that she was manipulated, coerced, taken advantage of by an older, more powerful man. You want me to lie for her? I want you to help the woman you married, the woman you promised to love in sickness and in health." I laughed, a sound with no humor in it. "Mira, your client stole $3 million, cheated on me for months, and tried to flee the country with her lover. The only character witness she's getting from me is a truthful one." Mira's smile disappeared. "That would be unfortunate. For both of you." "Is that a threat?" "It's a reality check. Vivian knows things about you, Lucas. Things that might interest the IRS, or the Boston Police Department's Internal Affairs Division." I leaned back in my chair, studying her face. Such as the evidence you planted in the Morrison case 5 years ago, the witness you intimidated in the Rodriguez investigation, the money you took from that drug dealer's apartment. Every accusation was a lie. But they were plausible lies. The kind that could destroy a man's reputation even if they couldn't be proven in court. "You're fishing," I said. "Maybe, but are you willing to bet your freedom on it?" I stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the neighborhood where I'd built a life with a woman who'd been planning to destroy me. When I turned back, Mira was watching me with predatory patience. "Here's my counteroffer," I said. "Tell Vivian that if she or anyone acting on her behalf tries to implicate me in any wrongdoing, I'll release the video." "What video?" I pulled out my phone and showed her a clip from my hidden cameras. Vivian and Adam in our bedroom, discussing how to frame me for domestic abuse if I ever discovered their affair. She wanted to claim I was violent, unstable, dangerous. Adam suggested I might have an accident. They planned to have me committed or arrested while they emptied our accounts and disappeared. Mira's face went white. That's attempted conspiracy to commit fraud. Among other things. So you tell your client that her best bet is to plead guilty, serve her time quietly, and hope I don't decide to press additional charges. Mira packed her briefcase with shaking hands. "This isn't over, Lucas." "Yes, it is." After she left, I called Erica. "They're getting desperate," I told her. "Vivian's trying to flip on Adam and blame everything on him. Will it work? Not with the evidence we have, but I want to make sure they both get what they deserve." "What do you need?" "I need you to dig deeper into their relationship. Find out when it really started, how long they've been planning this, what else they might have done." "Lucas, they're finished. Why not let it go?" "Because letting it go means they win. They get to play the victim, claim they were in love, reduce their sentences, and start over when they get out. I want them to pay the full price." Erica sighed. "I'll see what I can find." What she found was worse than I'd imagined. Adam and Vivian's affair had started 18 months ago, not the few months I'd suspected. They'd been stealing money for over 2 years, using it to fund expensive vacations, jewelry, and a secret apartment in New York where they'd planned to live after faking Adam's death in a boating accident. But the worst discovery was personal. "Lucas, you need to sit down for this," Erica said when she called Wednesday evening. "Just tell me. Vivian's been drugging you. Small doses of sedatives in your coffee, your food, your drinks. Enough to make you tired, unfocused, less likely to notice what was happening around you." The room seemed to tilt sideways. "For how long?" "At least 6 months, maybe longer. She wanted you compliant, manageable, easy to manipulate. I thought about all the nights I'd fallen asleep early, all the mornings I'd woken up groggy and confused, all the times I'd questioned my own instincts and observations. She'd been slowly poisoning me, gaslighting me, preparing me to be the perfect victim. There's more, Erica continued. They weren't just planning to steal money and disappear, they were planning to kill you. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? I found emails between them discussing how to stage your death, make it look like suicide. Vivian would inherit everything. They'd wait a respectful amount of time, then start their new life together. I sat down heavily, the full scope of their betrayal finally clear. This wasn't just adultery and embezzlement, this was attempted murder. Do we have enough evidence to prove it? We have the emails, the financial records, testimony from the pharmacy where Vivian bought the sedatives using a fake prescription. It's enough. Then let's finish this. Thursday morning, I walked into the federal building in downtown Boston and requested a meeting with the prosecutor handling Vivian and Adam's case. Assistant U.S. Attorney Sarah Chen was a serious woman in her 40s, with the kind of focused intensity that suggested she didn't lose cases often. Mr. Harlan, I understand you have additional information about the defendants. I have evidence that they were planning to murder me. I spent 2 hours laying out everything we'd discovered. The emails, the poison, the fake suicide plan, the insurance policies Vivian had taken out on my life without my knowledge. By the time I finished, Chen looked like she wanted to add more charges to an already lengthy indictment. This changes everything, she said. We're looking at conspiracy to commit murder, attempted murder, insurance fraud. They'll never see the outside of a prison. Good. Mr. Harlan, I have to ask, how do you feel about all this? Learning that your wife of 8 years was planning to kill you? I thought about it for a moment. How did I feel? Angry, certainly. Betrayed, obviously. But underneath those emotions was something else, something cold and satisfied. I feel like justice is finally being served. That afternoon, the story broke again. Boston attorneys plan to murder husband. Wife's plot to kill spouse exposed. Multi-million-dollar murder scheme unraveled. My phone rang constantly, but I didn't answer. I sat in my garage, surrounded by the evidence I'd gathered, watching the news coverage of my wife's spectacular downfall. She'd wanted to destroy me, to erase me, to profit from my death. Instead, she destroyed herself. And I was just getting started. The trial began 6 weeks later in federal court, and I had a front row seat to watch my wife and her lover face justice. Vivian had lost weight in custody, her designer clothes replaced by an orange jumpsuit, her perfect hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She looked small, diminished, nothing like the powerful attorney who'd once commanded respect in courtrooms across Boston. Adam sat beside her at the defense table, his expensive suit unable to hide the fact that he was a broken man. His legal career was over, his reputation destroyed, his future measured in decades behind bars. They'd both pleaded not guilty to all charges, despite overwhelming evidence of their crimes. Their lawyers were fighting a hopeless battle, trying to create reasonable doubt where none existed. I testified on the third day, walking the jury through my investigation, my discoveries, and the evidence I'd gathered. The prosecutor, Sarah Chen, was methodical and thorough, establishing a timeline that showed premeditation, planning, and cold-blooded calculation. Mr. Harlan, she said, when did you first suspect your wife was having an affair? When she started taking phone calls at 3 in the morning and claiming they were about work. And when did you decide to investigate? When I realized she was lying to me about everything else too. The defense attorneys tried to paint me as a jealous, vindictive husband who'd manufactured evidence to frame his innocent wife. It might have worked if I hadn't recorded everything, documented everything, and built a case that was absolutely bulletproof. On the fourth day, the prosecution played the video of Vivian and Adam in our bedroom, discussing how to frame me for domestic abuse and have me committed to a psychiatric facility. He's getting suspicious, Vivian said on the recording. Maybe we should move up our timeline, or maybe we should deal with the problem permanently, Adam replied. Make it look like suicide. He's been depressed since the injury ended his police career. Can you arrange that? I know people who can arrange anything. The jury looked sick. Vivian was crying. Adam stared at the table, refusing to meet anyone's eyes. But the most damaging evidence came from Vivian herself. In a desperate attempt to save herself, she'd agreed to testify against Adam, claiming he'd manipulated her, coerced her, threatened her into participating in his schemes. It was a calculated gamble that backfired spectacularly. Under cross-examination, Adam's defense attorney demolished her credibility. Miss Harlan, You testified that Mr. Courage forced you to sign these financial documents. Is that correct? Yes. But these emails show you initiating contact with offshore banks, you researching fake passport services, you planning the escape route to the Cayman Islands. Does that sound like coercion to you? Vivian's composure cracked. He made me do it. Did he make you poison your husband with sedatives? I never. Did he make you take out life insurance policies on your husband without his knowledge? That was his idea. Did he make you discuss the best way to stage your husband's suicide? Vivian broke down completely, sobbing uncontrollably, as the jury watched in disgust. She destroyed any chance of sympathy, any possibility of reduced charges, any hope of a future outside prison walls. The trial lasted 2 weeks. The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. Guilty on all counts, Vivian was sentenced to 25 years in federal prison, without possibility of parole. Adam got 30 years. Their co-conspirators, including the security team and the document forger, received sentences ranging from 5 to 15 years. I sat in the courtroom as the judge read their sentences, feeling a satisfaction so complete it was almost spiritual. They'd tried to destroy me, to erase me, to profit from my death. Instead, they destroyed themselves. As the bailiffs led them away in shackles, Vivian looked back at me one last time. Her eyes were full of hatred, rage, and something that might have been regret. I smiled and waved goodbye. Outside the courthouse, reporters surrounded me with cameras and microphones. Mr. Harlan, how does it feel to see your wife sentenced to 25 years in prison? It feels like justice. Do you have any message for her? I looked directly into the cameras, knowing she'd eventually see this footage in whatever federal prison became her new home. Vivian always said she was smarter than me, more sophisticated, more deserving of success. I guess we found out who was really smarter. What's next for you? I'm going to sell the house, donate her belongings to charity, and start over somewhere new. Somewhere without memories of lies and betrayal. Any regrets? I thought about the question seriously. Did I regret